Why is it that when you decide to have lunch by yourself at a cozy cafe, someone might ask, why didn't you invite anyone? Why is sitting alone in a park with a book seen as strange or even sad? For some reason, society often connects being alone with being lonely, as if the absence of company automatically means the absence of happiness. But being alone does not have to mean being lonely. Sometimes being alone is the most honest way to meet yourself. As a woman learning to enjoy solitude, I've realized that being alone can feel liberating rather than depressing. When you spend time with yourself, you listen more closely to your thoughts. You understand what you truly enjoy without trying to impress or adjust to anyone else's expectations. It is a rare kind of freedom in a world full of noise and social pressure. Unfortunately, this freedom is often misunderstood. Friends or colleagues might worry, assuming you're sad or lacking something in life. In reality, solitude can be a gift, not a punishment. It allows space to dream, to think, to plan without judgment. It becomes a time for self-care, reflection, and creativity. Of course, there is a fine line between choosing to be alone and feeling isolated, but this is where intention matters. When you choose solitude as a way to recharge, to know yourself better, it can be a sign of emotional strength, not weakness. You are not escaping from people. You are returning to yourself. So next time someone sees you walking alone and asks, "Aren't you lonely?" Smile gently and remember, solitude is not emptiness. It is fullness with your own presence. Being alone can be the moment when you feel the most complete. Alone does not mean lonely. Understanding the difference. There is a big difference between being alone and being lonely. Yet somehow, these two words are often confused. When someone says they spent the weekend alone, others may feel sorry for them, imagining sadness or emptiness. But being alone is not the same as feeling lonely. In fact, being alone can be a beautiful, peaceful, and fulfilling experience if you choose it for yourself. Being alone simply means spending time by yourself. It means having space to think, to breathe, to enjoy your own company without the need to entertain anyone else. It is not about sadness or lack, it is about freedom. You can read a book at your own pace, listen to your favorite music, or simply sit quietly watching the world go by. There is a quiet joy in knowing you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You are free to be who you are, without performance or expectation. Lonely, on the other hand, is a feeling. It is an inner emptiness, a longing for connection, a desire for someone to fill a space in your heart. You can feel lonely in a crowded room full of people, or even in the middle of a conversation. Loneliness is not about physical presence or absence, it is about emotional disconnection. It happens when you need someone to listen, understand, or care, and no one is there in the way you hope. I remember clearly the first time I went to the movies alone. It was on a quiet Sunday. I wanted to watch a film that none of my friends were interested in, so I decided to go by myself. At first, I hesitated. I wondered if people would look at me and think I had no friends. I worried that sitting there with popcorn alone might feel awkward or sad. But something unexpected happened. As I sat in the theater waiting for the movie to begin, I felt surprisingly light. There was no need to chat politely with anyone. I didn't have to share my popcorn or explain why I chose this film. I could laugh at the jokes I found funny and cry at the moments that touched me without worrying about anyone's judgment. It felt free. It felt real. I was not lonely, I was simply alone and perfectly happy. Another time, I tried going to a buffet restaurant by myself. Again, the usual fear returned. Will people think I'm strange? Will they stare? But once I sat down and filled my plate with exactly what I liked, without having to think about anyone else's preferences, I felt a quiet satisfaction. I ate slowly, enjoying every bite, watching the people around me without needing to talk. It was peaceful. It was a small celebration of self-care. And then came the most memorable experience. My first solo trip, traveling alone to a new city, was both exciting and scary. I had to make every decision myself, where to stay, what to see, when to rest. But with each passing day, I felt stronger, more confident. I discovered places that touched my heart, met strangers who became kind friends for a moment, and most importantly, I met myself. I realized I could enjoy my own company without fear. It was a gift I hadn't expected. What these experiences taught me is simple. Being alone is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. When you choose to be alone, you create space for personal growth. You learn what you like, what you need, what makes you feel alive. You stop depending on others to make you happy. Instead, you become responsible for your own joy. Of course, there are times when loneliness visits, even in the best of lives. That's natural. But loneliness and aloneness are not twins. One is a feeling of lack. The other is a state of freedom. When you know the difference, you stop fearing solitude. You start to see it as a friend. So next time someone asks why you're dining alone or walking alone or sitting alone in the park, smile gently. You know the truth. Being alone is not a problem. It is not a sign of sadness. It is a quiet, private celebration of your own life. In the end, the way you see yourself when you are alone shapes your experience. If you view it as freedom, then it will feel like freedom. And perhaps, in those peaceful solo moments, you will meet the most important person in your life. The benefits of enjoying time alone. In modern life, being alone is often seen as something strange or undesirable. Many people assume that if someone spends time alone, they must feel lonely or sad. But this is a misunderstanding. Being alone and being lonely are two very different things. Being alone simply means being by oneself. Being lonely means feeling empty or in need of company. A person can be in a room full of people and still feel lonely, while another person can be completely alone and feel peaceful and fulfilled. One clear benefit of spending time alone is the freedom to make personal decisions without outside influence. When you are alone, you can decide what you want to do, where you want to go, what you want to eat, or how you want to spend your day, without needing to consider anyone else's preferences. This freedom allows you to explore your interests, express your true self, and enjoy things in your own way. You do not have to adjust your choices or compromise. Whether it is dressing in your favorite clothes, choosing a quiet book over a loud party, or walking in the park at your own pace, the decision is yours fully and freely. Spending time alone also offers an important opportunity for personal growth. In solitude, you have the chance to focus on yourself and your development. You can read books that expand your thinking, learn new skills that improve your life, practice yoga or meditation to calm your mind, draw or paint to express your creativity, or write in a journal to understand your thoughts and feelings better. These activities help you connect with your inner world, away from the distractions and noise of social life. When you give yourself time to grow in this way, you become more aware of who you are, what you want, and what truly matters to you. Confidence is another great result of enjoying time alone. When you learn to be comfortable by yourself, going to new places, trying new activities, or simply sitting in silence, you realize that you can depend on yourself. You are not limited by the fear of being judged or the need for company. This builds inner strength and courage. You become familiar with your own presence and start to enjoy it, instead of feeling nervous or uncomfortable. Over time, you stop worrying about what others might think, and you start living in a way that feels right to you. Emotional balance is also easier to achieve when you spend time alone. In quiet moments, without the opinions or expectations of others, you can listen to your own feelings. You can ask yourself what truly makes you happy, what goals are meaningful to you, and what dreams you want to follow. When you stop seeking approval or recognition from others, you begin to value your own judgment more. This makes you less stressed, less anxious, and more peaceful. You learn to enjoy your own company, to trust your own decisions, and to accept yourself fully. Importantly, enjoying solitude does not mean rejecting relationships or avoiding people. It simply means that you also have a good relationship with yourself. When you feel complete and content on your own, your relationships with others improve naturally. You are not desperate for attention or praise, and you do not depend on others to feel happy. Instead, you share your life with others from a place of confidence and self-respect. In conclusion, time alone is not something to fear or avoid. It is a valuable part of life that brings freedom, personal growth, confidence, and emotional balance. It allows you to know yourself better and to live more honestly and peacefully. Being alone is not a sign of weakness or sadness. It is a sign of strength and self-understanding. When you learn to enjoy your own company, you carry that strength into every part of your life. Common misconceptions about being alone. Many people still misunderstand what it means to spend time alone. In today's world, being alone is often seen as something negative or sad. When someone enjoys being by themselves, others might ask, "Why are you alone? Don't you have anyone to spend time with?" These questions come from the wrong belief that being alone means being lonely or unloved, but this is not the truth. The first common misunderstanding is the idea that being alone means no one loves you. This is not true at all. A person may have a partner, close friends, or family, but they may still enjoy their own company. Choosing to be alone does not mean a person has no relationships. It simply means they enjoy the freedom to do things at their own pace, to rest, or to focus on personal interests. Solitude is a personal choice, not a sign of being unwanted. Another mistaken belief is that people who are used to being alone become selfish. In fact, the opposite is often true. Spending time alone can help a person develop patience, self-awareness, and understanding. When you are comfortable with yourself, you do not feel the need to constantly get attention or approval from others. This can make your relationships healthier because you respect other people's space and freedom as well. Being alone can teach people how to listen to themselves, and as a result, they may become more thoughtful toward others. A third common belief is that someone who spends time alone cannot be truly happy. But happiness does not depend on the number of people around us. True happiness comes from feeling peaceful and complete inside. A person who is always surrounded by others but feels lost inside is no happier than someone who enjoys quiet time alone. When people learn to enjoy their own company, they become more confident, more independent, and more balanced. They no longer need constant approval or distraction to feel good about themselves. In many places today, especially in Europe and other parts of the Western world, more and more people, including women, are choosing to live on their own, travel solo, and focus on personal growth. This is not because they are lonely or unable to build relationships, but because they value freedom, independence, and self-development. Society is slowly starting to understand this and respect these choices, but old ideas still exist. In the end, being alone is not the same as being lonely. It is not a sign of failure or sadness. It is a way to enjoy life, build inner strength, and understand oneself better. When people let go of these old misunderstandings, they can see that solitude is not something to fear, but something to appreciate. When does being alone turn into dangerous loneliness? Being alone and enjoying solitude can bring many benefits. It gives us time to rest, to recharge, and listen to our own thoughts. It allows us to make decisions freely, to focus on personal growth, and to build inner confidence. However, there is an important line between enjoying time alone and falling into loneliness. When this line is crossed, being alone can slowly turn into something harmful, a state that affects mental and emotional health. The danger begins when someone uses solitude to escape from the world completely. If a person avoids all human connection, ignoring friends, family, or even simple social contact, this isolation can lead to sadness, anxiety, and even depression. Humans are social by nature, and no matter how independent we are, we still need some level of connection with others. Spending time alone is healthy when it helps you reconnect with yourself. But when it becomes an excuse to shut people out completely, it may slowly harm your emotional balance. Another sign of dangerous loneliness is when someone feels empty even when they are with other people. They may go to gatherings, attend work meetings, or see family, but inside they still feel disconnected and lost. This feeling of emptiness is not about being physically alone, but about feeling mentally distant from everyone. When this happens, the real problem is not the lack of company, but an inner struggle that needs attention. In such cases, it is important to pause and explore the deeper reasons for this emptiness, whether it is unresolved stress, self-doubt, or other emotional wounds. It is essential to remind ourselves that enjoying solitude does not mean cutting off the world. It is not about building walls to keep people away. Instead, it is a way to build a stronger connection with oneself. To understand our own needs, thoughts, and feelings, so that we can connect with the world more honestly and fully later. Healthy solitude makes us stronger in relationships, at work, and in life, because we know who we are and what matters to us. In the end, being alone should be a choice that refreshes and empowers us, not a hiding place from life. When solitude becomes isolation, or when emptiness fills the quiet moments, that is when we need to stop and take care of our emotional health. Balance is key. Being alone is beautiful, but only when it helps us feel whole, not when it leaves us feeling lost. Being alone is not the same as being single. It is about true freedom. There is a common misunderstanding that being alone means being single, unloved, or unwanted. But this is far from the truth. Being alone is not about your relationship status. It is about enjoying your freedom and space in life. It is a state of mind where you feel complete by yourself, without depending on others to fill your time or happiness. In fact, those who can enjoy being alone are often the strongest and most independent people when they enter relationships, because they do not fear solitude or silence. A person who is not afraid to spend time alone shows true self-control. They're not seeking constant approval or attention from the outside world. Instead, they are confident in their own company. This confidence makes them better partners, friends, and coworkers because they bring a sense of fullness into every relationship, not a feeling of neediness. When you are comfortable being by yourself, you enter connections with others by choice, not by fear of being left alone. Enjoying solitude allows you to make decisions freely. You can go where you want, eat what you love, spend time doing what brings you joy, without having to adjust to someone else's schedule or desires. This freedom is a precious part of adulthood that many people forget. Some think that life is only meaningful when shared with others every moment, but in truth, the moments you spend alone help you understand who you are. And when you know yourself, every other relationship in life becomes clearer and healthier. So here's a gentle invitation. Have you ever tried traveling solo? Going to dinner by yourself? Sitting in a quiet cafe with a book or your thoughts? If not, this week might be the perfect time to try. These simple experiences can remind you that freedom does not come from other people. It starts within you when you feel whole and enough on your own. In the end, being alone is not about isolation. It is about freedom, growth, and self-respect. When you embrace your own company, you open the door to deeper, more joyful connections with others. And that is the beauty of solitude. It prepares you to meet the world with strength, not fear. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.